Separations, misunderstandings, and tragic deaths have marked the journey of the band Nazareth, a path filled with fascinating stories and secrets never before revealed. Get ready to explore in detail the trajectory of this iconic band, which left an indelible mark on several generations with their romantic songs. True anthems that defined an era. Relive the classics that rocked the 70s and 80s, immortalized by powerful riffs, impressive solos, and moving ballads that touched the hearts of many. We will delve deeply into each chapter of this band's history, which has left an everlasting impression on the music world. From their humble beginnings to the thunderous success that took them to the top, we will recount the incredible journey of Nazareth. And of course, we cannot talk about Nazareth without mentioning the famous Love Hurts. This song became a de facto anthem for any rock fan and undoubtedly marked the lives of many. Before becoming known by the name Nazareth, the band had a trajectory that began well before in the 60s. Back then, they were known as the Shadettes. The group performed in local bars and clubs, always in matching yellow suits and playing covers of the hits dominating the charts. Despite their efforts, they soon realized that merely playing covers would not be enough to achieve the success they desired. Then everything changed. In 1971, luck smiled on them when Bill Fahily, a gambling magnate, attended one of their performances. Impressed by the band's talent, Fahily decided to invest heavily in their future. Determined to change the course of history and reach stardom, the band members quit their jobs and moved to London, the true epicenter of rock at the time. They were willing to do whatever it took to achieve fame. In London, the transformation began. Tired of the name the Shadettes, they decided they needed a more impactful name that reflected the new phase they were about to enter. During a casual conversation in a bar while the band's The Wait played in the background, the idea of adopting the name Nazareth came up. The first line of the song goes, "I pulled into Nazareth, was feelin' 'bout half past dead." Everyone agreed with the idea, and thus the band we know and love was born. The band's first album, released in 1971, showcased a wide musical diversity. Although it did not achieve huge success on the charts, it revealed the band's versatility. With country-tinged ballads like Country Girl and heavier rock tracks like Witch Doctor Woman. The album also featured an impressive version of Tim Rose's Morning Dew. Despite the positive critical reception, the album did not capture a large audience. But this did not discourage the members of Nazareth, who continued to work hard and tour extensively across Europe, always hoping for success. The big breakthrough came in 1973, when they were looking for a producer for their next album. They wanted something heavier and more impactful, and the choice of Roger Glover, bassist of Deep Purple, was perfect. Dan McCafferty, Nazareth's lead singer, explained that Roger became involved in the project because Nazareth was opening for Deep Purple on a UK tour. After hearing the band's demos, Roger was enthusiastic and agreed to produce the album. The recording process was intense and well organized, with everything recorded in just 2 weeks and producing 2 songs per day. It was hard work, but the result made it worthwhile. The album Razamanaz, the result of this partnership, launched Nazareth to stardom. Full of rock anthems, this album became a milestone in the band's career. Songs like Night Woman and Alcatraz became instant classics.
Back home in Alcatraz.
It was the band's first album to achieve significant commercial success, reaching number 11 on the UK Top 40 and entering the Canadian Top 40, where it eventually received platinum certification. The album produced 2 top 10 hits in the UK, Bad Bad Boy and the country-influenced ballad Broken Down Angel. 6 months after the success of Razamanaz, Nazareth released their 4th studio album, Loud and Proud. The title might suggest it was a live album, capitalizing on the band's success, but it was actually another studio work produced by Roger Glover. This time, the band brought an even heavier and more aggressive sound, with intense rock tracks like Go Down Fighting and a series of dramatic covers. One highlight was the metal version of Joni Mitchell's nostalgic folk song, This Flight Tonight. This version helped the album achieve success, reaching #1 in Germany and the top 10 in the UK, making Loud and Proud stand out in the market. The album entered the UK top 10 and secured another platinum record for the band in Canada. By May 1974, Nazareth released Rampant, which brought another top 20 hit in the UK and another gold record in Canada. However, it was in 1975, with the album Hair of the Dog, that the band reached the rock elite. This album featured standout tracks like the dark Miss Misery and the epic Please Don't Judas Me, enriched with synthesizers. The American edition of the album also included the iconic Love Hurts. Originally recorded by the Everly Brothers in the 60s, which became a major hit in Dan McCafferty's voice. The song became an anthem for those who experienced romantic disappointments, reaching number 15 in the UK, topping the charts in Canada, and reaching number 8 in the United States. Later in 1975, the band released the compilation Greatest Hits, which also earned a silver record in the UK. However, with the rise of punk rock in 1976, the band's popularity diminished somewhat in their home country. Nonetheless, Nazareth continued to gain international recognition, especially in North America. The 1976 album Close Enough for Rock and Roll reached the 24th position on the Billboard charts in the US and secured another gold record in Canada. This success continued with Play in the Game, released in November 1976, which helped the band make its mark in South America for the first time. Unfortunately, in 1976, the group suffered a significant loss when Bill Fahily, the manager crucial to Nazareth's global success, died in a plane crash. Despite this, in 1977, the band released Expect No Mercy, a hard rock album featuring sharp anthems like Revenge is Sweet and Gimme What's Mine, as well as a rock version of Shot Me Down. In 1978, guitarist Zal Clemenson joined Nazareth as a second guitarist, bringing new energy to the band. With this lineup, the album No Mean City was released in 1979, featuring the catchy single May the Sun Shine. Which entered the UK Top 40 and earned another gold record in Canada. The band's 11th studio album, released in February 1980, featured highlights such as the reggae-influenced track Big Boy and the singles Hearts Grown Cold and Holiday, with the latter reaching the top 30 in Canada and receiving considerable attention on US radio. However, the band faced changes when Zal Clemenson decided to leave to form a new band before recording The Fool Circle in 1981. Despite the changes, the album still managed to reach the top 75 in both the US and the UK and earned another gold certification in Canada. For the Full Circle tour, young guitarist Billy Rankin and keyboardist John Locke were recruited. Both participated in the live album Snaz, recorded in Vancouver in May 1981, and also in the album 2XS, released the following year. 2XS featured notable tracks like Love to Madness, and the classic Dream On. Which marked Nazareth's return to radio worldwide. However, the next two albums, Sound Elixir and The Catch, received harsh criticism, being accused of straying from rock and roll and adopting a more pop sound. The ballad Where Are You Now was the only significant hit from this turbulent period.
Where are you now?
In 1983, Billy Rankin left the band, and Nazareth returned to their original quartet formation. In 1986, the album Cinema brought back the band's characteristic rock sound, but was not enough to recapture the success of the 70s. In 1990, Manny Charlton left the band to pursue a career as a producer, and Billy Rankin was called back to replace him, facing the challenge of stepping into the shoes of an icon. Despite the expectations, the love for rock kept the Scots on the road. In 1992, the album No Jive was released and received a positive reception, restoring some of the prestige lost in the 80s. However, in December 1994, Billy Rankin left the band again, and Jimmy Murrison was chosen as his replacement. 4 years later, in 1998, the album Boogaloo was released, which was little publicized but considered one of the band's best works. Unfortunately, what should have been a triumphant world tour ended in tragedy when drummer Daryl Sweet suddenly passed away due to a heart attack, just minutes before a show in the U.S. Devastated by the loss, the remaining members canceled the tour and returned home. After a period of reflection, they decided to continue with the band. Pete Agnew brought in his son, Lee Agnew, to replace Daryl, and Nazareth returned to the road to complete the Boogaloo tour. Fans welcomed Lee immediately, and the band, even without releasing new albums for a while, continued to tour and release live materials, such as the album and DVD Homecoming, recorded before a packed audience in Glasgow in October 2001. In 2003, Ronnie Leahy left the group, and Nazareth returned to the traditional lineup of vocals, guitar, bass, and drums. In 2005, they released the DVDs From the Beginning and Live from Classic T-Stage, which captured distinct moments from the band's career. However, on August 4, 2006, the band suffered another loss when former keyboardist John Locke passed away at the age of 62 due to cancer. After a new hiatus, Nazareth returned in 2008 with the album The News, a fresh and vibrant work with tracks like Warning and Keep on Travelin'.
When the TV's there, call the paparazzi. I'll keep on traveling, keep on traveling, keep on traveling.
The album received praise and sold well in Europe. The cycle continued with the albums Big Dogs in 2011 and Rock and Roll Telephone in 2014. So unfortunately, Rock and Roll Telephone was the last album with Dan McCafferty, who was diagnosed with lung disease in 2013, making his performances difficult. Even so, Dan delivered memorable vocal performances. After Dan's departure, Pete Agnew became the last remaining original member of the band. On February 22, 2014, Scottish singer Linton Osborne was announced as the new vocalist, with Dan's blessing. However, Osborne's health prevented him from performing, and he left the band in January 2015. On February 13, 2015, Carl Sentance was revealed as the new vocalist. Nazareth continued to perform and released an album in 2018, followed by a tour to celebrate the band's 50th anniversary. Unfortunately, we lost some members along the way. Manny Charlton passed away in 2022 at the age of 80, and Dan McCafferty left us in November of the same year at the age of 76. Currently, Pete Agnew is the only original member still with us. For fans, Nazareth's legacy is immortal, with their music continuing to touch the hearts of people around the world. At each stage of this incredible journey, Nazareth has managed to reinvent itself and continue resonating with new generations of fans, always keeping the flame of rock alive. Even in the face of adversity, the band has always found a way to move forward and deliver music that transcends time. New generations may not have experienced the peak of the 70s and 80s, but the lasting impact of Nazareth is proof of the continued relevance of their music. With each new lineup and album, the band has maintained its rebellious and passionate spirit, winning over new fans while preserving the essence that made it a legend. Now, it's time to reflect on how Nazareth's legacy continues to influence and inspire. Their music still has the power to touch the hearts and souls of listeners, and their impact on the history of rock is undeniable. For you, which Nazareth song had the greatest impact? Comment Eternal Nazareth to show your support and love for this legendary band. And don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell to stay updated with all our news. We deeply appreciate you following our journey and hope to see you again